We all have stories. Stories inspired by culture, competition, creativity. Stories show our humanity. They inspire us to greatness and remind us to be humble. Stories connect us to our communities and the rest of the world. We are the Chutta people, and these are our stories. See and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Through the Keyhole, to an Oklahoma football podcast. How is everybody doing out there in podcast, internet, whatever land? Hopefully everyone's doing well. I'm Brady Trantham, so welcome to the show. We've got three of the four horsemen tonight. Peyton Guthrie is busy, off doing his thing for his people elsewhere, so he will unfortunately be missing the show tonight. But again, we've got three of the four horsemen, so without further ado, let's just get everybody on board. Mr. Alan Kinney, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Yo, 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 yo. And then, of course, the formerly cooked Mr. Matt Burton. How are we doing?
Yes, fully cooked online Matt Burton.
Oh, you know what? It happens. It's okay.
It's been a while. It's been a while since my last ratio on Twitter. I try to make it in between, at least a biannual thing, to be honest with you. But it's all good. Hey, you live and you learn. You try to be genuine on Twitter, and that's your first mistake I learned today.
It happens. You made no mistakes. You asked a question, and it should always be okay to ask questions, but not on Twitter during the NBA playoffs. Because
know what? I should have known better. It's a heightened, sensitive thing right now, especially when it comes to officiating. No matter how many caveats you throw out as well, and how genuine you can be asking a question, you are still going to be called an idiot. And that you need to learn things, which is true. I do need to learn a lot of things actually in the world. But you know what? You can be as genuine as you want to be. And sometimes that still results in you getting cooked and you getting ratioed on Twitter or X, the everything app.
Well, it just goes to show you. I mean, people is in their feelings. You could tweet something very neutral. You could say something like, Alan, you could tweet, boy, this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying watching this game. And depending on who's getting beat in that moment or whenever that person reads that tweet, the opposing fan base will come after you and say that you suck. So
it's unwatchable, actually.
Yeah. You cannot have fun. Cannot have fun. Real quick before we get into, and we will, of course, talk about OU football. It's an OU football podcast. This is the free episode. So hello to everybody watching live on YouTube. Go to Keyhole Sports on our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch our shows. We do usually like one free one a month. When I say free, I mean our non-patrons can watch us record the show live. Otherwise, our patrons get exclusive access to the live stream so that they can ask questions, just watch if they want to live. Otherwise, it goes up on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you want to watch us, but you're not a patron, you have to wait until we have hit the stop recording button and then put it up on the internet for all to see. But otherwise, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. That is Through the Keyhole. And of course, I mentioned the Patreon page, patreon.com/Through the Keyhole. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Kaizen Performance Gym in Norman, Oklahoma. Best gym in Norman, Moore, Oklahoma City, probably just the world. It's probably, Kaizen Performance is probably the best one. And then, of course, our title sponsor, the Choctaw Nation. Go to togetherwe'remore.com. Speaking of Peyton Guthrie, that's where he does all of his main adult work. So go check that out. Go support his work, him and his team. Did I say it like, was that a phrasing problem? He's not in the adult film industry. He is a content producer
for adults.
He is an adult. He has an adult job. He works with cameras. No actors are involved.
Not professional ones, at least.
All amateur.
They're all union. They're union. Let's calm down now. It's okay. The sound quality is beautiful. Jimmy Satterfield in the chat. What's up, brother? How we doing? What's up, everybody? But yes, togetherwe'remore.com for Peyton's actual work. Again, he is an adult. He's older than I am. But yes, we appreciate the Choctaw Nation. I already mentioned Patreon. Go to keyholepod.com as well. The free website. Go check that out for Alan's writings. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, like I said, YouTube, like I said. And if you haven't done so already on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating and review. I said we would get to OU football, and I say that because we do need to talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Handful of people that like OU football that listen to our show, also like the Oklahoma City Thunder, and some of them like the San Antonio Spurs. Like, this is an Oklahoma, Texas thing, and it is taking over the sports world all over the place, and it's been very, very exciting. Again, it's a shame Peyton's not on to bring the Spurs perspective. Yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster of emotions watching this series because, and again, it's like Thunder win, cool, Spurs win, cool. Like, I'm just like glued to my seat because it's fun watching two teams that do not want to lose, that are both equally talented and have every right to be in the finals over the other. It's just really, really fun to watch. But I'll start with you, Matt, real quick. I was listening to I was listening to a Spurs podcast earlier today. It was called The Right Time with Bomani Jones. Yeah, Bruce. A friend of the show, by the way, Bomani. Had Bruce Bowen on, and look, I understand, like, when people say the Thunder are unwatchable, or it's not fair that they can be aggressive on defense, and then when they're on offense, they get to the free throw line. Well, to me, it's just very silly because Shea gets to the foul line because he's the MVP and because he's a guard who has the ball in his hands more times than not. We have precedent of countless generations of guards that fit his status that get to the foul line. It's okay. And it's okay if your favorite team is losing because of that. And then also, to me, it just really seems like people are having a lot of trouble grappling with what they want to happen. People want Victor Wembanyama to be the face of the NBA, to be like the supernova talent that he is, to be like the unquestioned god of basketball. Well, he ain't there yet. Now, he very well could be. I mean, if God came down and said the Spurs were going to win in 7, I'd be like, yeah, they will. That does not shock me. The way that it's going, though, right now, it does seem like that the Thunder have the experience advantage over the young San Antonio Spurs, Matt. To me, like, it really seems kind of silly that people complain about the physicality that the Thunder are throwing at Victor Wembanyama because they have to. The guy is 7'6". They have to do something. Like, it's their job to do something. It hurts their feelings to see them be so physical with him because it keeps him from doing the 40-20 supernova stuff that we saw in game 1. And at the same time, kind of just shit on Shea because he hasn't been an MVP player in this series. He's not been efficient. He's scored a lot from the foul line. But that kind of takes away from the fact of, do you think that he's just sucking in a vacuum? Or is it because Stephon Castle and the Spurs are like beating the shit out of him? They're doing the same thing to him that Isaiah Hartenstein and the Thunder are doing to Victor Wembanyama. And it's working against Shea, just like it's working against Victor. But I guess because Victor is like everybody's god of basketball right now, it's really starting to hurt their feelings that it seems like it's going the direction of the Thunder finishing the series off in 6 or 7 games.
I think it's a little of, people wanting Wemby to do this, and a lot of people just don't like the Thunder. That's what I'm gathering, is that people just do not like this Thunder team, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, Shea, like, You mentioned all that with like going to the line, but he's like actively trying to get to the basket. That's his deal. Like he is trying to get there. So not only does he have the ball in his hands all the time, but he's a guy that's relentlessly attacking. So he's going to get fouled a lot. And there are going to be some times too where, hey, they don't call it, right? I mean, Stephon Castle, dude, he's done a great job, I've thought, on Shea, just trying to make life difficult on him. But they're throwing a ton of bodies at Shea too. Like this is not like he's not getting very many clean looks at the basket because they are trying to make sure that anytime he goes up, there's 2 or 3 San Antonio Spurs around to try to contest that. But I mean, I think the main difference for me, like you mentioned, experience. The second one is just depth. Like the depth of the Thunder, I think is what's coming through. Like Alex Caruso shooting like 50% from 3 in the series. Like it's crazy what he's doing. Jared McCain, while his shooting number, like the percentages probably aren't great, he's made some big shots throughout this and just been good at just spacing the floor, like trying to keep people honest or keep the Spurs honest. But yeah, I feel like the experience thing is taking a toll. And then, the fact that the Thunder are without J-Dub and AJ Mitchell and they won this game, I know it was at home, but man, after getting their ass kicked in game 4, like this is impressive, man. And that's where the depth piece comes in. You have Jay Will come in, you have Kenrich Williams come in and hit 2 huge threes after basically not playing in the series. Like it's kind of an embarrassment of riches. And I think the nervousness for Oklahoma City fans is like why you really want to win this one. Obviously you want to go for back-to-back titles, but knowing that this is probably the worst version of the Spurs for the next, 10 years, like this is going to be the worst version of themselves. And probably, as crazy it is to say, the worst version of Victor Wembanyama. I think that makes it even more like, okay, let's get as many of these while we can, because these guys are coming. They're going to be there, for a while. So I don't know. I'm excited to see, game 6. It would be nice to not, if you're Oklahoma City, to a nice area of growth to not have to rely on a game 7 in the Paycom Center to close somebody out. Go do it on the road, which they needed that in the finals last year. They needed that in the Nuggets series. They needed, game 7s at the Paycom. Both those game 6s, they got their asses kicked last year. So hopefully it's not a repeat and you don't have to play an extra game in the Paycom. That would be a nice area of growth for this team.
I mean, you say all that, but you have to remember that Reggie Miller said that the Knicks are going to be favored against whoever they play in the finals.
If that's his takeaway, watching the Spurs and Thunder duke it out, then I don't know. What to tell you, man.
I mean, it's every other take from him, man. All of them are bad.
It's either takes or observations. And look, Matt, you correctly characterized Kenrich Williams in that he's barely played in this series. During the game last night, Kenrich Williams hit his second 3 of the night. And then the next thing Reggie Miller says is, this guy hasn't played a minute in the series. And I'm like, dude, he played in the first half of the game the other night. You are calling every single one of these damn games. You are courtside. There are maybe 20 humans that are playing in this series, with 16 of them being like mainstays. And then like the Kenrich Williamses that kind of get randomly thrown in there. That third string point guard that San Antonio put in game 2. I can't remember his name. He had a few threes in that game. Yeah, it's like there are 20 faces and names that you have to remember, and you cannot remember them.
Right, dude, like at this point, there's only one series that you need to focus on. There are only 2 teams you need to focus on right now. You don't need to focus on the other 28 NBA teams right now. You can just focus on these 2. But I thought the great philosopher, Twitterer, whatever you want to call him, Trill Withers on Twitter, put it best last night. He said NBC and these broadcasts need more role players as analysts. He said because they have Jamal Crawford and they have Reggie Miller, whose main jobs were to get buckets. That was all their jobs were whenever they were in the game, was to get buckets. He was like, we need like Reggie Evans to be a analyst.
Somebody get James Posey out there,
exactly.
Oh, James Posey.
I love you need a role player as an analyst. So I thought that was cracking me up last night. It was great.
And shout out Winter Caretaker in the chat. Thank you for joining along for the first time. Appreciate first time viewers. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's sad because I actually kind of like Jamal Crawford, but he just barely ever gets to talk because Reggie Miller is talking. over and over and over again. And Mike Tirico is just boring. Just not my cup of tea. If I want to watch the Olympics, I'll take a nap. That's usually how I kind of view that whole thing. Alan, and I think I've asked you this before, and apologies, I forgot. You're not a Thunder fan, right? You're watching this as a neutral observer. Yeah, just neutral observer like me, just hopefully just enjoying it. Let me just back up just a little bit, because this is just kind of like overall Thunder discourse, I guess. I'm assuming the majority of our listeners or viewers that are OU fans, the majority of them are probably Thunder fans too. This is just a basic example of team becomes a team that once was not very good, becomes good, and the discourse surrounding them changes with that. Because the night LeBron James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points scored all time, that was against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a game in LA. And I don't know why I remember this, but I do listen to Bill Simmons' podcast. I like his podcast. And he was at the game that night in LA to watch the moment happen. And Bill was like, yeah, like LeBron was 12 or 14 points away. Everyone knew he was going to break it that night. And as soon as he did, there was like a 30-minute time stoppage where they like came to half court and had pomp and circumstance, all this stuff. And he said, the Thunder, they understood this is kind of like a bigger moment than the game that they're playing. And so they were respectful. A handful of players shook LeBron's hand. And then as soon as they were like done congratulating him, they all went to the bench and had this look on their face like, let's fucking play basketball. And then I think the Thunder won that game fairly easily. And I believe, Matt, was that the year they went to the play-in, or was it their last tanking year?
No, I think that was the year. I want to say that they were the 1 seed and lost to Dallas.
Really? Like it
might have
Josh
been the play-in year, though.
I think it was the play-in year.
Well, Giddey was on the team that lost to Dallas.
But he wasn't a rookie.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it might have been. It might have been the play-in team, because the play-in team, they were at least like fun. It was like, oh, they're still like not going to go in a championship, but they're like fun, and you kind of have to take them seriously.
Yeah. So Bill kind of respected the fact, Alan, that Oklahoma City had this very like serious business-like attitude about them. When they were a cute little play-in team that had just tanked for the previous 2 seasons. Well, now they're the best basketball team in the world, and they're the best basketball team in the world without their second best player, and arguably their 5th or 6th best player in AJ Mitchell, but definitely their 3rd best ball handler in AJ Mitchell. They're still the best team in the world as of right now, the defending champs. And now people like Bill Simmons and most everybody else has a complete and utter problem with how they conduct themselves and how they handle themselves. So is this just a case of like Metallica? First 4 albums, awesome, great. They were an underground heavy metal band. Then the Black Album comes out, and then everybody knows who they are. And so all those old school fans are like, they suck, they sold out. Is this just kind of a case like that where the Thunder just got too big and now people just don't like it?
I mean, I'm sure there's some fatigue, yeah, without a doubt. I don't really like watching the Thunder play basketball. I'll admit it. I'm in that group that, I mean, they just seem to be hitting the floor all the time. So like I get why that would bother people so much, especially after, another extended postseason run by them. But I mean, it also doesn't like negate the fact that they're an outstanding basketball team. And not only I mean, it's not just that they're good at what they do, but they're deep. They can throw so many different guys at you. They can really beat you in a lot of different ways. I'm sure that maybe it's the ways that they do choose to beat you that people are really having the most problems with.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like from an aesthetic standpoint, they're fairly boring because they don't, even if J-Dub is healthy, Jalen Williams is not an athletic freak. He's not dunking the shit out of it. He's not running the floor every single, time. He's, they're just very, 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 very good basketball players individually. And they all play well with each other. To me, though, like the falling to the floor argument kind of goes over my head because I watched and loved watching Dwayne Wade win a championship in 2006 by getting to the free throw line.
Yeah.
So I get it. When I try to think back to like past champions, like if the Thunder are able to repeat, they'd be the first repeat champion since the Warriors, the KD Warriors, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Well, those Warriors teams were great defensively. They were a lot more than a 3-point shooting team, but that's what made them exciting was that they shot the shit out of the 3 ball. LeBron and the Cavs, like they've got LeBron James. He's a show unto himself. The beautiful game Spurs, there's a lot of similarities between this Thunder team and them. And yes, those Spurs teams bitched and moaned all the time. They got to the foul line all the time. Like, lose me, Bruce Bowen, when Tony Parker was a big part of your championship runs. And yeah, oh well. Like it's a shame Peyton's not here because again, like the Thunder are in control, but again, if the Spurs 1-7, it would not shock me. And I would like to get his confidence level read going back to San Antonio game 6. But real quick before we get out of the Thunder talk, Alan, is this going 7 or do the Thunder finish them off in 6?
I would have said, going 7, but the more, I think about it and watched last night, this has a very big, just men versus boys kind of feel to it to me. Like every time the Thunder have needed to come out and really put their foot down, they have. I mean, the way they played, I thought game 3 was, when it comes to just snuffing the team out really before they even get a chance to get going, when you're in when you're down kind of, having lost home court, that was to me like a moment where I was like, okay, I mean, this is just two different, from a mentality standpoint, this is two different teams here, two different caliber of teams. I think they're going to win in game 6 and close it out.
Ooh. Matt, how you feeling?
I originally picked Thunder in 7. So just for my original pick, I'll stick with that, but really hoping for 6. My brother-in-law is getting married on Saturday, so that would be during game 7. So really, really hoping for 6, but we'll see.
No, I think this has less to do with. I mean, it technically results in a lack of experience, but really, it's more of a specific observation. And I thought this going into the series. The Spurs are an incredibly emotional team. They are so emotional, and a lot of that is because of their youth and their inexperience. And like teams that are that good, that are that talented, that are also that emotional, like their performance rides with their emotions. And you saw it last night where they went on a run in the third quarter and outscored the Thunder in the third quarter when the Thunder outplayed them to start the quarter off in the first place. And it's like, oh, this is going to be good in the fourth quarter. And a few things didn't go their way, and they just pouted their way through the fourth quarter and lost it. Not a very good look. But it really seems like that the Thunder's like Terminator personality, Matt, is just like exposed that flaw in the Spurs, because Victor Wembanyama, like, I don't care that he hasn't talked to the media, but it does kind of like paint a picture of, man, you, like I complained about going into the series, you really are personally offended, like in this rivalry between yourself and the Thunder's third best player. Like, you should be, if you want to pick a fight with someone, it should be Shea. Like, he's the MVP. He's the best player on that team you're trying to beat. And I mean, Chet probably has defaulted to this idea because he's getting cooked by Victor on an individual basis. Yeah. But Chet has the right mentality. He's like, I don't care what I do. I want to win the game. Like, I want to win the series. And maybe Victor will get there down the road. It doesn't seem like he's there right now, because he seems very like, the only time I saw him truly fucking try last night, because he's there, it's very clear he's tired. Like, everybody is tired in this series. Like, it's not just a Victor thing. Everybody's tired. But the only time I really saw him like exert himself was, Chet's got the ball. I've got to sun this son of a bitch. And it's like, man, that is, yeah, it's like, Okay. All right. Go stop him. He's already stopped himself, but go stop him. But again, we're all looking forward to the game tomorrow night. But let us get to the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, what's going on? Big news out of Destin, ladies and gents. Coming from, I mean, it was a scrum, but George Stoy is down there for the Sooner contingent of the media at the SEC coaches meeting down in Destin, Florida. I guess like the biggest news that pertains to us, Alan, is that David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Xavier Robinson, Torrey Blaylock are all 100% good to start summer workouts, which begin next week, which means we've got about a month and a half or two of summer workouts. And then you have SEC Media Day towards the end of July. And then right after that, the crazy train starts with fall camp. So I didn't see any updates on guys like Trell Harris, who also had a pre-spring practice minor procedure done. Venables at the time when we were going to practice mentioned that he expects him to be fine in the summer. Jermichael Carter also was kind of I think he had practiced like once or twice, and then he got hurt and was limited in practice, but nothing in the vein of like somebody is going to be dealing with something deep into the summer, deep into like the beginning of fall camp or anything like that, other than Taylor Heim, who tore his ACL during spring, the backup linebacker, backup cheetah, whatever you want to call it. Let me think who else. And then Daniel Akinkumi, he was on a scooter like basically all spring. But it does seem like, Alan, that and I almost said the Thunder, but it does seem like OU is going to start relatively close to 100%, at least for summer workouts, which that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Definitely sounds that way. You're right. I hadn't even thought about Trell Harris, but that was one. I would have been nice to get an update on how he's progressing. I hadn't heard anything that would make me think that he won't be a full go once camp opens. But, it all sounds like everything's going according to plan. They got out of spring relatively healthy. And, from here on out, I mean, there's just so little new going on, I mean, I guess the only good news is, that they're healthy, right? So you keep it, it's that time of year when if there is news, a lot of times it's bad. So I guess keeping it quiet is pretty good.
I mean, where were you when you found out that Trajan Bridges, Seth McGowan, and who was the other guy?
Michael Henderson, Mikey Henderson.
Where were you, Alan, when you found out that they brought guns to a weed deal?
Oh gosh, man. I think I was firing up my computer one morning. I believe it was a morning, and somebody, posted like, "Oh, well, there's a warrant out for so-and-so's arrest," and thinking like the weird part about that too was like they got McGowan and Trajan Bridges right off the bat, but then Henderson, there was like some kind of delay, and then they eventually got him, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I was just like it was just like, why does this keep happening? Like what's going on there or whatever, I mean, the whole thing was just
yeah, like I don't know, like the NIL and transfer portal era, maybe it's different for other programs, Alan, but it seems like that because typically this time of year is really dead in terms of college football news, but maybe it was just because I was online more as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, like on message boards. And I would often maybe confuse internet talk or rumors as like, that's the God's given truth. And,
right.
I'm going to go with it. But it really does seem like that this more closer to professional football landscape that we find ourselves in has really killed this time of year in terms of the news cycle.
Yeah. And you also wonder too, if programs are just getting better at sweeping stuff under the rug than they used to be. I don't know. I mean, you think that it'd be harder with, cell phones, cameras, all that stuff, but who knows? But yeah, it does seem, well, it seems maybe guys are like, I've got more on the line now. I really don't know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess because to me, like David Stone, Jaden Jackson, being 100% healthy. Like I completely and utterly just assumed that would be the case. With Torrey Blaylock and Xavier, especially Xavier Robinson, I guess I'm a little surprised that Xavier is at least 100% healthy, considering, what I saw with his injury when it happened. It seemed like something terrible happened, and I just happened to be right there with the camera, right in front of it. But considering, what we saw out of this, and it's just a spring game, but out of guys like Jonathan Hatton, DeZephan Walker, considering how good they were in those performances, Alan, I mean, to me, it might seem corny, but I think it's so important that Xavier is healthy to start summer. I think it's so important that Torrey Blaylock is healthy to start the summer, because I think we're all excited about the future of the running back room under Dylan McCullough, but I just can't help but still have hope for Xavier Robinson, because when he is relatively healthy and he's out there and DeMarco has allowed him to play football that day, I mean, the guy can do it in this conference at a high level. If OU is going to have a good running game and he's healthy, he's going to be a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a different kind of player, different kind of body style, different type of runner than OU has, in its stable. So yeah, that's a big deal. It's just, they say he's healthy now, but man, it just seems like as soon as things get going, I mean, you start hearing again, oh, he's dinged up. Oh, he just, for his sake, I'm glad that he's healthy, because there's competition there for him, right? I mean, it's one thing to be a different kind of back than everybody else on the roster, but if you can't produce, if you can't even get on the field, you're not doing anything. So for him, I'm very glad to hear it. And you hope that it's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, maybe now he can finally stay on the field or stay available for most of the season, as opposed to this kind of deal where it's like, run him out there, try to give him a few carries, try to just survive till next week. Like, no, make him a functioning part of the offense, which a lot of it, again, is on his health.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. I mean, how much of that is just, I mean, Dylan McCullough, Matt, kind of, I don't know if he alluded to this as much as he just kind of looked at the situation and said how he would handle the situation if he had been the coach, which is a natural thing to do. He wasn't poking fun at DeMarco Murray, whatsoever, but, it's our job to infer what they mean. And it's my particular job to assume that he's poking fun at DeMarco Murray and saying, like, I wouldn't have done it that fucking way. I don't know if it's just Xavier Robinson is just snake bitten and he's just # always injured, or if it's just DeMarco Murray just really didn't understand or know how to truly develop or coach your guys throughout a season, because it wasn't just, it's not just been Xavier. It's been every running back other than Eric Gray, who is, I mean, Marcus Major got hurt. Tawi Walker got hurt. Xavier's been hurt. Torrey got hurt. Javonte Barnes gets hurt. I don't know what it is. I mean, it can be injuries are fluky and they can be random and all that stuff. But to me, it just kind of comes down to maybe Dylan McCullough is able to unlock the ability to put all the best guys out onto the field and that they are all healthy. And hopefully Xavier Robinson is a big part of that. But maybe you feel different. Maybe you're like, are you still on the Xavier Robinson belief train, or are you kind of just like, let me just see more DeZephan and Jonathan Hatton?
No, I am on the X-Rob train for sure. I mean, I feel like he was like the lone bright spot in that 2024 offense. He was the one with Jackson Arnold, obviously earmuffs. Sorry, I should have done like a trigger warning for bringing that offense up. But he was like the lone bright spot. It was like the main game happened, and then like the rest of the year happened. It was like, dude, the Alabama game happened. It's like, oh, okay, they got something here with Xavier Robinson out of Carl Albert High School. And last year too, I mean, he's banged up, but whenever he got his opportunity, even when he was he banged up in the Tennessee game too, and he just still, or is that when he got hurt?
No, he got hurt, I believe, in the beginning of the Alabama game.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, he looked great in the Tennessee game.
Yeah, he looked great in the Tennessee game. Just a different like body type than pretty much anyone else. I mean, I guess they have that kind of in Jonathan Hatton Jr., but yeah, I'm still a believer in Xavier Robinson, but man, would like to see kind of a committee approach who that other guy is. Is that Torrey Blaylock? Is that Devin Walker, Jonathan Hatton Jr.? I don't know, but in my opinion, when healthy, Xavier Robinson is probably your best back that you have. But yeah, I don't know. The injury thing, I have a tough time, saying that it's, I mean, it obviously is an issue, but I have a hard time thinking that it's, anything more than a coincidence, right? I mean, like football is a tough game. They're trying to knock each other's heads off every single play. They're not trying to like gently wrap up and lay somebody to the ground. Like they're trying to like take your head off every single play. So I just, some of that I think is just terrible luck, and it sucks that you keep getting snake bitten, but man, hopefully X-Rob is good to go, man, because I do think he is their best back when healthy.
We're gonna have to wait and see, unfortunately. But I mean, at least OU seems, I guess, positioned to have quite a bit of talent in that room, considering where it had been, and considering that they're going to probably have to rely on some true freshmen. Which, if you had to rely on true freshmen from a position group standpoint, running back would probably be on your short list of like, yeah, that one's fine. They had to do it last year. They had to do it the year before. And so why can't this year be any different? But I don't expect you guys to know this because I dropped an article that I wrote for Sooners on SI the other day. Shout out to Lee Benson. He helped edit it for me. Go listen to West of Everest whenever they put out a new episode. Do you guys know? Because maybe this had been mentioned. Maybe like Sooner Scoop had mentioned this. Maybe some other OU stat person has mentioned this. But I just don't recall it. I put it in the story, so I'm not going to blame you if you didn't read it. It's okay. I'm just curious if you guys know this. So an OU running back did not eclipse 500 yards on the ground last year in 2025. Do you guys know the last time that happened in a season? You can take a guess.
Has it?
Yes, it has. It has happened.
Okay.
The biggest clue is that it's happened in our lifetime.
Okay.
You might punch yourself if you just use a little bit of brain power. It might make a little sense.
Would it be last year?
No.
Or 2024?
2024?
Yeah. No. Javonte Barnes had like 600, 540 or 640 or something like that. He barely had it.
2019?
No,
no. Pardon me. 2000. No, I meant 2009. Sorry.
2009. No.
20.
So this is
because that would have been like Kennedy Brooks. So maybe he
so
did.
This is a running back has to go over 500 yards, not 1,000. So just 500 yards.
I was going to say the COVID year where the shortened seasons.
That's what I was going to. That's what I believed when I was going through the seasons. If not for Ramondre Stevenson, they would have done so, because again, it was a COVID shortened season. OU didn't play all their games because they had to drop the West Virginia game because they couldn't field the team that year. The other running backs, because Kennedy Brooks opted out that year. TJ Pledger didn't go over 500 yards. Ramondre went for like 650 or 700 yards. And remember, he was suspended for half the season.
Yes,
he was
right.
so
that's
good.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, not 2020. But you guys want me to tell you?
Yes.
It was 1999. Bob Stoops' first year when they were air raiding the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And that year, OU had Reggie Skinner as their starting running back, and he got hurt. Then they had somebody else, and Seth Luttrell as a fullback was one of their leading rushers. Michael Thornton, who had a fun little moment for a few games, then he got hurt. As a result, they had to burn Quentin Griffin's red shirt that year, which led to Quentin Griffin could have been on the 2003 team, and that team would have been truly unbeatable if they had Quentin Griffin in his prime. But yeah, first time since 1999 that an OU running back did not go for over 500 yards, and it was not very, very good. Good guesses from Welding Man in the chat. Like 2014, OU was bad, and Samaje had 1,800 yards rushing.
Yeah,
2009
he had almost 500 in one game.
The first 6 and 7 season with Brent, but that was Eric Gray, right? I mean, he had like 1,300 yards or something like that.
Yeah, that's what makes last year so confounding and maddening from a running game standpoint. Because look, the offensive line, they're going to be better this year just by virtue of being older. Most of their guys. I tend to think that Amarian Harris is an upgrade over what they had at right tackle with Derek Simmons for the most part last season. We'll see if that comes to fruition. In my opinion, I think so. At the same time, though, they weren't terrible at run blocking. They weren't. There were holes there. There were plays to be made, but whether it was just guys being hurt or them just not having enough talent, like they just weren't able to really exploit anything. It was very, very frustrating. So hopefully that trend changes. But that kind of segues into that article discussion, and maybe I'll do the listeners of this podcast a disservice because I wrote it with the thought in mind. Like my idea was, okay, like how much does OU's offense truly need to improve in order for them to guarantee that they are a better team, not just visibly, because again, they can visibly be a better team, a more balanced team, guys, but go 8-4 or 9-3. So technically worse from a record standpoint, but because their schedule's so tough, they could look better, but lose a few more games than they lost last year. So what's like the bare minimum for them to improve where they are not only just visibly a better team, but also give themselves chances to win against Michigan, against Georgia, like legitimate chances to win, not just we're OU fans and we hope for the best every single Saturday. And I just basically based it off of last year's SP Plus offensive rating results, because I feel like, and again, this is where I might do a disservice to people, Alan, that a lot of OU fans might be in this mentality where kind of similar to where they were 10 years ago, where the offense was elite, top 1, top 2, top 3 in the country every single year, and the defense was a fucking nightmare. Hey, defense, just be average and we can win a national championship. Like we'd see a lot of that sentiment. And I've seen a little bit of that with the defense becoming an elite unit last year under Brent Venables. I believe they finished 4th in SP Plus in the country. So they are an elite unit. And then the offense, 51st in the country, which is relative to the sport average. When it concerns OU football, when it concerns the SEC, it's pretty damn bad. And so I've seen a lot of sentiment that kind of suggests just be average OU, like to OU standards. To me, that lands them in the 30s, SP Plus wise. Well, last year, 3 teams in the SEC finished in the 30s in terms of their SP Plus offensive ratings, and that was Alabama, who beat OU in the playoff, Texas, who didn't make the playoff, and Mississippi State as an outlier because their defense is so bad. But Jeff Levy, he knows how to put up yards and shit. So to me, like the picture I was trying to paint with that article, Alan, is marginal improvements to average might make us all feel better. It might make watching the offense a little bit more entertaining, but it does not guarantee that OU can be a better team, like be better than 10-2. To me, the closest comp is something similar to Ole Miss, where they had the 3rd rated offense in the country per SP Plus, and their defense was, I think, number 20. So if OU can somehow jump into the top 25 on offense and maintain a top 4, top 5 defensive rating, that's where you get into the conversation of you can go into Athens and potentially win. You can go into the Cotton Bowl and potentially win against Texas. The question is that I have for you, Alan, do you agree with that? A, and B, is that kind of a jump in improvement possible for OU?
Okay, I'll start off with the first. Yes, I do think that that's probably what we're talking about here. I mean, look, Oklahoma last year had a very good record in close games. Part of that was because they could not get separation. Well, you let teams hang around like that this year, you're much more likely not to get as many good breaks or have as many things go your way, or things might go the opposite way against you, right? So I absolutely think that they have got to improve there if they want to replicate what they did last year from a record standpoint, right? Is it possible? I think so. I feel like across the board, OU has upgraded. You don't look at it and say, oh, okay, well, there's that's the key. I mean, I think a lot of people, for example, last year saw OU got a better quarterback, with John Mateer, and said, okay, well, that's the key to this.
Yeah.
It's not that, right? But OU did. I mean, I feel like they made incremental improvements everywhere along in every position group on offense. Out in quarterbacks the same, but with that in mind, I do feel like they'll have an opportunity to take some pretty big steps forward. And with that being said, especially if they do improve the running game, once you get that, and everything can kind of build from that. So, I mean, I'm looking. I think that top 30, that's certainly doable with this group. I don't think it's going to be. I just don't think they have the firepower for it to be like top 10 or something like that. But no, they can make some substantial steps. Take some substantial steps forward.
Yeah, and I kind of fleshed out a little bit more to kind of like even compare Alabama and Texas. Alabama 11th rated offense in the country per SP plus, 18th on defense. So a very balanced team, top 20, near top 10 on offense, top 20 in both metrics. Whereas Texas was, I think, no. I have that confused.
Yeah.
Alabama had a top 30 offense and a number 18 defense. So scratch all that.
Texas was 30 on offense and 18 on defense. Alabama was 36 on offense and 11 on defense.
I wrote the damn thing and I already forgot. It just kind of goes to show you that, and again, they're just metrics, but it's trying to get like a visible picture of these teams. And when you're comparing them, that a difference of 10 makes really all the world of difference. I mean, Texas lost 3 regular season games because they had a fringe top 20 defense instead of Alabama, who had a fringe top 10 defense, is kind of how it made sense in my mind. And of course, everybody plays a different schedule. So like you can even get like, oh no, Texas played this and Alabama played that. It's like, I get it. We're just trying to figure out what OU needs to do this offseason going into next year, where they need to land offensively. But Matt, I mean, I guess basically the same question. It really just comes down to, if you think the offensive line, if you just assume or know for a fact that they're going to be better, well, then the trickle down effect happens where the running game improves, which makes John Mateer's life easier, and that you hope that Trell Harris is a better pairing with Isaiah Satania instead of what we saw with Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania. And then, of course, the tight ends become some kind of factor. And I say some kind of factor because we haven't seen it yet, and they're coming from literally the basement. So anything would be better, but are we talking just minimal factor, or are they a true game-breaking factor? That we just don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a game-breaking factor they'll be in the passing game, but I think they can be in the running game for sure. I mean, to me, it says a lot that Oklahoma's first transfer portal signing was Hayden Hansen, like known for being a blocking tight end. It was like, okay, you know what they're trying to do. They know where their huge weakness is and where they need to get better. So yeah, that, and then with the offensive line just getting older, like you mentioned, and Marion Harris, man, a guy that started in the SEC at right tackle. I am definitely a firm believer of just building in the trenches, and everything else, not magically, but I mean, kind of magically just works itself out. Like, I mean, if you're good in the trenches, that just raises your floor, in my opinion. It can raise your floor and your ceiling at the same time. So, I think the offensive line is good. If Hayden Hansen is as billed as a run blocker as he is, Van Dorselaar, if Rocky Beers can chip in there as well, and then I mean, if you can start blocking, get that running game going, man, they absolutely can. And like I'm for sure with Allen too. I think they improved kind of across the board on offense, and you hope that, you know, you have the same quarterback, but you hope that he can make some incremental improvements here and there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit bullish on this group, but I think that starts with the offensive line, and I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I think this is where I kind of maybe not trip myself up, but get a little caught up in, you know, Foje and Fasusi. They're just gonna be true sophomores, right? So it's not like they're the fully formed version of themselves yet either. They're still going to be young, but they did get much needed experience last year as true freshmen, and should be vastly improved. And especially Fasusi. If Fasusi was still solid last year as a true freshman, I'm excited to see what he can be here in the next couple of years.
Well, Alan, let's dare to dream. I guess, first of all, is it possible for OU to have a meteoric rise offensively? And whatever that means to you, like in terms of where they, like, whether that means they're top 20, they're top 10, I mean, that's up to you. But is that possible?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess anything's possible. I mean, I don't see it being meteoric. But to me, that would be like going into like the top 15, right?
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening with this group. I think that they're better. They're very solid, but they're more limited. You know, I think it's particularly just what they have at the quarterback position. It's again, I think that Mateer obviously has room to improve and whatnot, but I just don't know if he's the kind of quarterback who can take an offense to that level against this type of competition, right? So, you know, I mean, I don't see it in the cards for this team, but that doesn't mean that they still can't be very, very good, and very, very good could be, you know, as a team for the rest of the team, good enough, you know?
Yeah. I mean, again, like, the offensive line, and Matt hit this on the head, because I think a lot of people are just assuming the offensive line is going to be great. I think it has the potential to be a strength, but what I do assume is that they're just going to be better. They could be marginally better, which would technically be an improvement, but it wouldn't result in a lot of us going like, hell yeah, you know, because we'd still see kind of some young player mistakes, as Matt pointed out. They're just true sophomores or redshirt sophomores out on the field. So there's still a lot for them to achieve. They're not there yet, but maybe they will. You know, they're talented and they have the potential. But really, like, what puts you into a category of being a top offense is if you have that dynamic player quarterback. And it seems like OU has all the pieces in front of John Mateer to set him up with a few, like, you know, like, we don't really know with tight end in terms of like what we've seen with our eyes. We all assume that the running backs, if they're healthy, are good enough. You know, we lean optimistic with them, but it truly just kind of comes down, Alan, to John. Like, if he's in an ideal situation, can he be a dynamic player? Can he be, not like at the end of the season, be a Heisman candidate, but can he be like a Heisman caliber player in Athens, in the Cotton Bowl, against Texas A&M, against Ole Miss, like more times than not? Like, does he have that potential to you, despite kind of the headaches that we saw last year?
I mean, I don't see it with him. You know, I went back, for example, and watched the Texas, although he's offensive snaps from the Texas game earlier this week, of some I'm working on, and I know he was hurt and whatnot, but it just seemed like instinctively so much he was just making the wrong choices. And that wasn't just where the ball was going. It was how he was trying to get it there with the, you know, whipping it off his back foot type stuff and all that. I mean, it just until I see him play like under control with some sense of discipline, and like, you know, just kind of button it up, I just don't see that coming from him, which again, though, does not preclude OU from being a very good team. It's just, I don't see like an NFL caliber dude there. I just don't.
Yeah. I mean, cause even the truly optimistic people out there, whether they be OU fans or the content producers that cover the sport nationally. Like that one blonde dude, I can't remember his name. I think he works for On3. He's like he's Josh Pate with hair.
Oh, JD Piquel.
That guy. I'm sure he's a lovely human. But I saw he had he rewatched OU Michigan like a few weeks ago, and he was just like, this John Mateer is special. And I'm just like, John played well in that game, but if our standard is thoroughly beat Michigan, I mean, they weren't particularly awesome last year. They weren't a bad team. They were, a pretty good team in the Big Ten, but they got smacked by USC. They got smacked by Ohio State, and they got kind of thoroughly beat by OU. So the standard should be much higher for quarterback play at a place like OU. And John played well, but he didn't light it up. So, I mean, I don't know.
Times they could have gotten more separation. They could have got,
Yep.
and I think there are times where he held them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's kind of the frustrating thing. And it just kind of goes to the thought of, yes, that was his third year with Ben Arbuckle, but the Michigan game was by far the toughest game he had played in, because up until that point, the toughest game he had played in was Boise State and pre-Cody Campbell Texas Tech roster money. The year before they truly got great on defense. So he goes from that, like those two games, the first year at Washington State, to playing Michigan and then playing Texas in the Cotton Bowl. And it's just completely and utterly different. So it is his third year under Ben Arbuckle last year, but it's his first year doing all that shit. So maybe the second year he makes better decisions. I don't know. I mean, Alan or Matt, I honestly don't know, because if you're sitting here in the offseason debating on whether or not your quarterback's potentially going to make better decisions, I'm all about fixing mechanical things. Like, he's going to get bigger this offseason, and that will be the difference. That's all that's separating him. He's going to get faster. That's what will separate him. If we're talking about decisions, Matt, I'm like, I don't know. That's going to be a roller coaster every Saturday.
I think it still will be, because I mean, last year, I brought it up. I don't know if it was after the Texas game or just later on in the year, when everyone's like, man, he's missing guys. Like, guys are there. He's just missing them. I was like, it sucks, right? Like, I hate that happens, and maybe he can get better, or trying to, pump some hopium, but also, this is his third year with in Ben Arbuckle's system. That was last year. No, yeah. I'm talking about last year.
Yeah.
That was my concern last year. This is his third year, and it's still missing, still missing guys. So is it fourth time's the charm? Is that what it's going to be? Somehow magically the fourth time is the charm, and it's all good. But I don't know. That's my main concern is okay, I want to believe that, through grinding tape, through just working with Ben Arbuckle, John Kusiewski more and more and more, that it's gonna click. The light's gonna come on. But man, last year being third year in the system and still just missing, it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look at it, and to me the biggest reason for optimism, in all honesty, isn't about experience or that. It's more just maybe if he doesn't feel like he has to do everything, that
True.
he's able to kind of dial it in a little bit, or I mean, whatever it is. Because to his credit, last year, as much as when I complain about all the different stuff, I just watching him, man, it was just, he's just trying to do too much. And, if he just dials it back, there's something to that, because it probably wasn't very fair to him to say, he was so bad when, and a lot of times he was trying to make stuff happen,
Yeah. I mean, he said that in real time last year, I believe, after the South Carolina game going into Ole Miss, where he said after Texas, he really had his pride like kind of taken from him, because up until that point, he had always been the best player on every team that he had played on. He had been the guy on every team he had played for back at Little Elm High School and in Texas, at Washington State when it was his turn after Cam Ward went to Miami. He was like the reason why his teams would win or lose. Everything kind of rode with him. And then Texas happened and he realized, oh, I can't Superman myself at this level either yet or ever. And then he had to realize, well, I'm at OU. So all these dudes, even like the dudes that we don't think are particularly awesome to OU standard, they're vastly better than the guys he was rolling with in high school, vastly better than the guys he was rolling with for the most part at Washington State. And so he had to realize, okay, I don't have to do everything, even though a lot of the play calling kind of suggested to him to do everything. And hopefully that is something that gets exercised. But that kind of goes into, and Welding, man, you bring up a good point that we've kind of talked about before, of just the difference in talent week to week in the SEC that John faced compared to what he'd faced prior to at Washington State. Like it is different. And to me, it's a culture shock. And that's why it's one of the few reasons why I'm optimistic that he can be better, because it won't be a shock to him that this team is good, and then next week you have to do it again, and the week after that. And this is all, of course, assuming that he doesn't get hurt again. If he's healthy relatively, I'm assuming that experience will be pretty invaluable to him. So that's the hope. But this kind of gets into the thought that coaching is absolutely important, especially at the college level. And I mean, Alan, I asked you and Peyton a few weeks ago about Ben Arbuckle and what you guys thought of him. And if you think that he's a good offensive coordinator, good play caller, like all those things, despite like what the results would say after 1 year at OU. Well, if he's truly good, I mean, he's got to get to John Mateer. Like whatever they're talking about this entire offseason, like, is it going to make John Mateer an NFL caliber quarterback? Probably not. Does he need to be an NFL caliber quarterback for OU to achieve great success? I don't think so. No, I don't think, like, he doesn't need to. So there needs to be this coming to Jesus moment this entire offseason that Ben Arbuckle really showcases his ability to develop his talents. Like this is his time. Like 2026 is big for Brent Venables. To me, it's even bigger for Ben Arbuckle, because if he's going to be the next, hot assistant in the country, it's going to be because of this season. If it doesn't happen, I mean, that to me, that would be a huge like black mark on his resume, that you had this quarterback for this long and he's he's pretty damn talented. And yet he continued to make the same mistakes that put a really harsh ceiling on your offense and therefore your team.
Oh yeah. For all the talk about what's OU doing to get the running game going, like a lot of that is going to be, well, they're adding different people to it, with Mateer. I mean, that is Arbuckle's challenge in my mind, is to bring Mateer up to another level. Because, we can say, oh, he's missing stuff or what have you. Okay, fine. Part of that, though, too, is Arbuckle figuring out what he's not going to miss. Arbuckle getting that performance out of him. Arbuckle theoretically had a say in bringing Mateer with him from Washington State. He theoretically had a say in whether or not they should have cut bait with Mateer after last season, right? So you look at it from that perspective. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they should have, but what I guess my point being, like, he's in the words of Bill Parcells, back in the day, he wanted to have a say over picking some of the groceries if he has to cook the meal. I mean, Arbuckle is picking these groceries, so it is on him to figure that part of it out.
We're gonna have to find out. I mean, Matt, is it for Ben Arbuckle, I guess, for this offense, is it more to do with what John Mateer can do, what he can improve on? Or do you think the combined efforts of everybody around him being, like every other position group, being better than they were last year, those combined efforts will be more influential to OU's offensive success, more so than John Mateer, whatever he ends up doing?
Yeah, I think it's combined efforts, right? Because how many problems did everyone have with, DeMarco Murray and Joe John Finley, right? Well, those two are gone, right? And you got Dylan McCullough, who just he personally didn't have 2 first-round picks at running back in the draft, but he was the reason they went to Notre Dame. I know that he again coached him there, recruited him there, and Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love. And then you got Jason Witten, who's a Hall of Fame tight end. So I think having those guys around, sorry, he's not technically in the Hall of Fame yet. He will be pretty soon. But so I think the cast of characters around, especially coaches around, that should help a lot. And then, man, I don't know. Like I was about to say, try to make it a little easier on Mateer, but it felt like he was cooking stuff up for him. Like he was cooking stuff up for him and it wasn't there. But yeah, and two, we got to remember what Ben Arbuckle's 31, 32, not 32 yet. It's somewhere around there. So like he can improve and get better everywhere too. He's not a finished product of a play caller either. So I'm just looking forward to it, man. It's only May 27th, but I'm having withdrawals.
I know. I mean, I guess around here, everyone's hoping that the Thunder get past the Spurs, get to the finals, win a championship, because it did make the offseason a little bit shorter last year.
Yeah.
But even with that said, usually SEC Media Day, Big 12 Media Day is at the beginning of July. This year it's at the end of July. And so it's like all that much further of a crawl to anything to talk about. And then it never fails. I feel like maybe I'm alone here, but I always feel like I look forward to media days. It's like, oh, thank God we're going to talk about college football. And then it happens and it's like, man, there is nothing to talk about. There's nothing came from media days whatsoever. But who knows? Maybe
everyone's going to be good at media days. Everyone's going to have a great year. Everyone's looking great. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Well, and like I was talking about this earlier today, but it seems to me like with so many players moving around, I mean, I can sit here and say, like, if you're a Texas fan, for example, I understand being excited about like Cam Coleman joining your team, right? He's a talented kid, but you have no inkling of what he's going to look like in that offense or how it's going to translate. You know what I mean? Like, so we're just kind of sitting here thinking like, well, I don't know. That's that's the answer to everything right now. It's just, it's whatever's going on right now in the sport from a, roster stability standpoint seems to be hurting the dialogue at this point, I think.
And with the amount of movement, it's like, it's almost tough to keep up with who all OU got, let alone like everybody else, like trying to protect everyone else. I'm like, no, Texas got Cam Coleman. Did they replace anybody on the offensive line? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is Arch Manning still going to not overthrow people when they're wide the hell open? I mean, we're going to find out. I mean, no, I guess moving on from OU, and you guys, since we're talking about Texas a little bit, our friends in Austin, we've not really gone into them this offseason, and we're going to have plenty of opportunities to do so. It's a big year for Brent Venables in terms of, let's just say if OU wins 10 games again and they get to the college football playoff, and then let's say that they win a playoff game. But even still, if they win 10 games with this schedule and it ends up being as hard as it does look, and they just simply get to the damn playoff, like I would feel fairly confident that Brent's a pretty damn good head coach. We will find out if he can win a national championship over the next few years, but my questions after 2024 seem to be answered in a positive way if that's what OU does. It's an even bigger year for Steve Sarkisian and Texas, Alan, because of what they brought in, the money that they are spending, and the utter lack of success Sarkisian has had against the handful of teams that Texas has played during their run or during his time as the head coach at Texas. The handful of teams that they played that have as much, if not slightly more talent than them. They beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa in 2023. They lose to OU in the Cotton Bowl, and they win the Big 12 that year. And they get a very fortuitous draw in the playoff where they play Clemson, who up until the ACC championship game was not a playoff team, but they happen to beat fucking SMU, and therefore the ACC gets 2 playoff teams in it instead of just one that they deserved. And so Texas gets to play average Clemson, beat them. Then they get to play Arizona State, who really should have just beaten them if a personal foul was called at the end of the game and they just kick a field goal to win in regulation. That didn't happen. Even still, Texas was very lucky to win that game against, I mean, Arizona State's good because they're good for Arizona State standards, but they barely beat Arizona State. Then they play Ohio State, and it's like they played them tough and they had their chances, but time and time again, they cannot do it when they play the Georgias or the Ohio States or when they get into the Final Four and played Washington in 2023. So it's a big year considering what they brought in, the money that they're spending, and what they're positioned for with Arch Manning at quarterback, Alan. And I mean, I dare say, like, if it doesn't work out this year, oh boy, will the Illuminati that is the Texas donor base just be busy at work in that offseason if that's what happens.
Yeah, it's funny because it seems like nationally there's a lot of talk about this, about, Sark's going all in, or Texas is really giving him a lot this year. I mean, they have given him a lot of resources. They gave him, I think that, it probably surprised a lot of people. I know it surprised me that he made a change in defensive coordinator, because it didn't feel to me like that was their problem. But maybe it was something internally that he did need. I don't know, but I do agree. Like, it's kind of one of these deals where it's like, okay, ironically, I feel like he's actually kind of he's gotten so much goodwill from handling OU so well, right? I mean, that's just how it is. 3-2 overall, and he's got two blowouts and one fairly substantial win last season. So, I think from that perspective, he's, as much as they might like to think that they are Texas past the OU rivalry or whatever, I think that still probably makes him feel pretty good. I don't know. It's one of these things where, like, at some point, I know that Sark was pushing back a lot too on maybe how much say he has on the roster, that type of thing. I think that I feel okay about how OU is going about the organizational part of this, if that makes sense. And if Sark doesn't get it done this year, does at minimum, does he get some of that control taken away from him? I think that's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not able to get at least to the national championship game, considering, I mean, the talent that they have, it's extraordinary how much talent that they have and the talent that they brought in, the money that they've spent, and how close Sarkisian and Texas have been in the last handful of years. If they can't do it this year, then, and especially considering the draw that they get from a scheduling standpoint, where they get to play the Vanderbilts and the Kentucky. And I know Vanderbilt has technically been good, but maybe it's just a mental thing. Getting to play the Mississippi States, the Vanderbilts, the Kentuckys of the SEC, and OU's playing everybody else. It's like, well, Texas is playing Georgia. It's like, yeah, well, no, you played Alabama. You win some, you lose some. But Matt, it's to me, it just kind of comes down to, can Texas as a program handle this kind of pressure? And historically, the answer is no, they cannot. But it's very simple. It's either Arch Manning is destined to be like a Texas legend. Yuck. He's that's either destined to be, and then Texas will be the best team from start to finish this season, or he's not destined to be that whatsoever. And you could look at a situation where Steve Sarkisian truly does put fuel to the fire of the rumors that seem to come out. Like, I mean, they came out last year where it's like, is he going to take the Titans job? Is he going to blah, blah, blah? Maybe that'll stop being like used for, or I guess to manipulate his job status, and more to do with, I'm not going to be able to, I didn't do it this year with this team. I need to get the hell out of here while I can, to avoid the avalanche that is the Texas donor base.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this was kind of not the opportune time, because he's still going to want to, add that he got the number one pick in Arch Manning, right? I mean, because Arch is going to be the number one pick. So he wants to add that, but I think once Arch leaves, then I think maybe that does sort of open a door if it doesn't all go according to plan. And like Alan said earlier, for me, I don't know, guys, that it felt like a pretty unserious move to hire Will Muschamp as your DC.
Yeah,
like,
it's
to be honest with you.
Yeah, right. It's the kind of thing where, okay, I get wanting to make a change. It's kind of strange that Muschamp is the one that he looked at and was like, "That's who I want." Right.
Right. Like, I mean, Jim Knowles was available, right? And who knows if Jim Knowles, ends up going to Texas or still lands at Tennessee or whatever. But like, there are other names out there, and yeah, like Weldingman says, Muschamp hasn't been like an on the field coordinator since 2020, and if it was simply just like we're getting someone that was been at Georgia and gonna make us tough and like do all this stuff, like I
think that's absolutely what it is. I think that's absolutely what the hire was, because I mean Georgia and Kirby Smart, hurt their feelings. I mean, Georgia has dominated Texas since Texas has joined the SEC, and Texas cannot get over that hump. And Kirby Smart hurt Sarkisian and Texas's feelings by saying things like, essentially, that we're tough, they are not. We have a bunch of players that want to play tough physical football. They have a bunch of players that want to make money and get to the NFL. It hurt their feelings. And so getting Will Muschamp to me, because we know his coaching style. We know his coaching style behind the scenes because we've all seen clips of him punching the chalkboard. They just wanted someone to make them meaner. Whether or not he will succeed at doing that, I don't know. I don't think so, because Will Muschamp, everyone knows, and like Weldingman mentioned, he hasn't been on the field coaching since 2020, and this didn't work for OU when they brought back an old defensive coordinator. Did not work at all. I don't think it'll go that bad because Texas is still very talented on defense. But I don't think that this is going to be the move that saves them. And it's just silly because, Alan, you're right. I don't think that the move was necessary, but it seems like from a very basic standpoint, PK is a very good scheming defensive coordinator. Will Muschamp is I will punch harder than you. I am stronger than you defensive coordinator. And that's what Steve Sarkisian wants to pair with his offense.
Yeah, it could be that he just wants something that's more aggressive or what have you, but it's just an interesting pick. That's the best way of putting it. It was just it wasn't what I expected.
The head coach in waiting. Maybe Sarkisian bolts for the NFL and Will Muschamp finally gets his promise given to him. And
that would be ironic, man. It makes Muschamp's coaching in the Gator Bowl or something.
How far have we come? I remember I would have been 17 or 18. It was probably 17 because 2008 I was, it was probably after they beat Oklahoma in the 08 game. So I had just turned 18. And I remember ESPN doing a breaking news story of Mac Brown announcing that Will Muschamp is the head coach in waiting at Texas. And, at the time it's very, oh, wow, Mac Brown's already thinking about retiring, because that's all I knew at Texas as a young man at the time. But head coach in waiting, and that was a foreign concept to me. And now we're in this, it's like we're talking about two completely different sports now.
Yeah. I mean, the deal with Muschamp too, though, it was odd at the time, and clearly it seemed in a certain way kind of desperate. It's not that people didn't. Will Muschamp is beloved in the coaching community. He is beloved. There's no way around that, right? So I mean, I think that everybody felt like he was kind of destined for bigger things than just being a coordinator, but at the time, I remember just thinking, man, they really must be scared about him going somewhere or leaving. I mean, that was the only thing I could come up with, because it just didn't seem like a natural. It didn't seem. It seemed like Max still had a few years left in him.
Oh well. We look forward to Texas's demise with great interest. Trying to think. Anything else, guys? I know the coaches meeting are going on. Everyone's kind of having like sharing their opinions about like the expanded playoff. I mean, we'll get there when we get there in the off season. I think it's stupid. Everybody thinks it's stupid. We can say that for an entire episode if we want to. But anything else that I've missed that we've missed?
Not football wise. No.
Is there basketball wise?
No. Shout out baseball though. Baseball. Gonna get going in the Atlanta Regional. They're in Georgia Tech.
Are they gonna get going, Matt, or are they gonna get leaving?
Hey man, baseball's a funny thing. If the bats get hot at the right time, then anything can happen. But
hey,
Georgia Tech is really good.
if OU's bats get really good, it probably means that their pitching sucked that day. Like they cannot put it.
Yeah, and then softball crashes out. They're the first time since 2015, not going to be in the Women's College World Series. So, crazy.
Yeah, major bummer. Again, like Oklahoma City Thunder basketball, OU softball has kind of really made the offseason not be as boring, for a lot of us around here. And, OU baseball is always kind of a wild card. They make it to the College World Series in 2022, a few years ago, and they've just not really been able to build off that. But of course, they did join the Baseball Juggernaut Conference 2 seasons ago, and they're not bad. I even hesitate to say that they're average. I think that they're a fairly good team. They just cannot put everything together in a series. They can do it for a day. They can't really put it together against good teams for an entire series, and that's unfortunate. But maybe Skip's trending it in the right direction for all I know. I hope so. I like Skip Johnson. Yeah, and then of course the other big news is, I guess, in an effort to distract people from OU getting eliminated in the Super Regional, OU was like, Ryan Hibble's leaving. Yeah. So look over here. Yeah. I'll be honest, like Ryan Hibble, like great head coach. He won the national championship in 2017 or whatever. This is our show, like I'm talking, so it's my show right now. I don't care about golf. I've played it a lot. It's fun to play. I didn't play it enough to like truly fall in love with it. And I damn sure don't care about it from a spectator standpoint. To me, golf is a rich man's hobby or an old man's hobby. And oftentimes rich and old often overlap, which is why golf exists. I feel sorry for the hundreds or thousands of OU golf fans that are bummed about this, and I guess him, like Hibble and Roger Denny threw down like the rumor that his salary was cut in half and that's why he's leaving. So we can't even have the fun talk, Alan, about how, hey, maybe Roger Denny's like going all in with football and like reallocating all these resources away from golf or softball and saying we need to win a national championship or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, to quote Darren Ravel, I feel bad for Sooner golf fans, but it would have been tremendous content to be having that conversation right now. But no, it sounds from what Ryan Hibble has said, it sounds like he just wanted to go home.
Yeah. What's Nate doing? Can he coach golf? What is Nate Hibble up to?
Oh, let's find out.
I heard that he has a big restaurant or something there in Georgia, I think. I think it is maybe a restaurant chain that he's.
Maybe I should try to do a story on Nate Hibble, one of the more underappreciated, not just quarterbacks, but Oklahoma Sooners of my lifetime. Maybe that'd be a fun little, what's old Nate Hibble up to, considering that his brother is in the news around here. But we will see. We will see. No one ever answers me. But anything else, guys, that you want to go off your chest? Alan, anything? Matt, do you want to tell Peyton that the Thunder are going to triumph in 6?
No, not going to. I'm going to try to reverse jinx it and say Thunder in 7 and hope that there's not a Thunder game going on during my brother-in-law's wedding.
Well, there will be a TV there, right?
Probably a phone. Probably be on the phone.
I was going to say, there's one in your pocket.
Yeah. Sneaking it, yeah.
Oh, where's the community in that? Alan, anything?
Nope, man. We covered it all, man. There's absolutely nothing we did not discuss that would merit consideration here. So,
We'll do our best to think of some ideas for next week, but we'll definitely talk about. We'll know the results of the Thunder Spurs series. We'll know if the Thunder are playing still, and if they're not, then Peyton will come on here next week and gloat, and he'll be right to do so because his Spurs would have been victorious in an epic Western Conference Finals matchup, one that we will probably see for, I hope, years to come. But every time you get to a point where it's like, this is what we're going to see for the next 5 to 10 years in the sport, it never works out that way. But hopefully this is one of those things that does work out that way. But for the absent Peyton Guthrie, the present Matt Burton, Alan Kinney, myself, Brady Trentham, everybody, thank you so much for listening to Through the Keyhole. Everybody, thank you so much for joining along on the live stream. It was a fun chat between you guys. Thank you all for joining us. And again, we do one live show a month. The rest of them are exclusive for our patrons. So go to patreon.com/throughthekeyhole if you'd like to join in on the fun. You don't have to donate any money for the first month. You can do it for free just to check it out. And if you enjoy it, then if you feel up to it, we will gladly accept the donation. It helps the show continue, and we have a lot of fun doing it. But for everybody, thank you all so much for listening to the show. Until next time, Boomer Satter.